Hello and welcome to another Minute with Matt. I'm Matt with New Life Church. We're continuing our series of short Bible studies based on the book of Matthew. This time we're going over Matthew chapter 14, verses 15 through 21. Jesus had been preaching and healing the sick. And verse 15. When it was evening, his disciples came to him saying, "This is a deserted place, and the hour is already late. Send the multitudes away, that they may go into the villages and buy themselves food." They're thinking about it. These people had gone from the cities, and they followed Jesus, listened to him talk all day. And they got to be hungry. So, send them home, let them get some food. Verse 16. But Jesus said to them, "They do not need to go away. You give them something to eat." And by the way, in verse 21, it says it was 5,000 men, not even counting the women and children that were there too. So probably over 10,000 people. Let's see. I'll see what I got in my wallet and go to McDonald's. Get a cheeseburger I'll get 10,000 cheeseburgers. How are you going to do it? They're looking, what are we going to do? How are we going to do this? Have you ever been set an overwhelming task? I think this was probably more overwhelming than what you were set. Verse 17. And they said to him, "We have here only 5 loaves and 2 fish. So what we'll do is we'll cut those loaves into 2,000 pieces each, and every person there will get 1 crumb." They really, what can you do? Verse 18. He said, "Bring them here to me." That could be a sermon in itself. All your cares. The Bible says to cast or throw all your cares and anxieties on Jesus because he cares for you. But in this case, you bring Jesus. When God calls you to do something, you give him what you have. In this case, it was the 5 loaves, 2 fish. I have this ability, that ability. I have this money, that. I have these possessions. You give it all to Jesus and let him use it. Use it for his kingdom. And the results are amazing. This is a story that we know. Most of us have heard it all our lives. Some of you haven't. But it's still amazing when you really think about it. So, oh yeah, Jesus fed the 5,000, big deal. That is a big deal. That's incredible. That's incredible. It can be a financial burden. I remember people who, my mother passed away last year, and pastor performed the funeral, paid for my family to go out to eat afterwards, and that itself is a great blessing to feed a handful of people. This is talking about 5,000. As I said, probably 10,000. And so verse 19, after they were brought to him, then he commanded the multitudes to sit on the grass. He took the 5 loaves and 2 fish, looking up to heaven. He blessed and broke and gave the loaves to the disciples, and the disciples gave to the multitudes. Can you imagine what's going on here? They keep, okay, here's your piece of bread, and here's your piece of bread, and here's your piece of bread, and here's, they keep taking it out, and more is just coming on. Could you imagine that? It's not the first time that something like this happened. In the Old Testament, there was a container of oil that kept on going. I wish that would happen in my car's gas tank. It doesn't. But could you imagine being the one who's handing this out? You just keep handing it out and more keeps on coming on this. Wow. Verse 20, so they all ate and were filled. So some 10,000 people, they didn't just eat, they ate and were filled. And they took up 12 baskets full of the fragments that remained. They started with 5 loaves and 2 fish. If they just had that, I don't think that would even be 7 baskets. But, you know, so they ended up with more than what they had before. And verse 21, now those who had eaten were about 5,000 men besides women and children. This is an incredible miracle. An amazing miracle. But there's a bigger point here. Jesus is the bread of life. He was showing his power. Like the manna that came from heaven in the time of Moses for 40 years, feeding millions. Jesus could do it. He was God in the flesh. And he is the bread of life. And he can meet all our needs. We just need to trust him. I hope this has been a blessing. Till next time, go with God.